Welcome, dear friend, to this quiet space. Tonight, we are not in a temple of wood and stone, but one built of stillness and starlight, gathered here on the banks of a great and ancient river. I want to share with you a timeless story, a parable that holds the key to understanding the restlessness that brings you here. And it might surprise you to learn that this journey begins exactly where you are, on a shore that feels so familiar, it might as well be the only world you've ever known. Whether you are listening to this in the dead of night, your body tired but your mind refusing to rest, or seeking a quiet refuge from the noise of a world that never seems to stop demanding, know that you are not alone. Right now, in different rooms, in different cities, under different skies, we are all sitting together on this same shore, listening to the same quiet longing. There is a deep comfort in that, a sense of shared humanity that connects us beyond time and space. So, find that perfect position. Let your body sink into the softness that holds it. Allow your shoulders to release the weight they have carried all day. Let your breath deepen, just a little. Because the journey we are about to take is one of a gentle unfolding, and it begins the moment you allow yourself to truly be still. Here is the secret that most of us never realize about the constant feeling of being overwhelmed, the quiet ache of dissatisfaction, and the sense that we are always paddling furiously just to stay in one place. You've likely tried to rearrange the pebbles on this shore, getting a new job, starting a new habit, finding a new relationship, hoping to finally feel secure. And while these changes might bring temporary relief, the tide of life keeps rolling in, washing your arrangements away. Tonight, you will understand why. And more importantly, you will discover the ancient way to build a raft, one that can carry you to a shore you may not even believe exists. The teaching we will explore together is the parable of the two shores. And it is not an abstract philosophy, but a living map of the human heart's journey from bondage to freedom, from fear to a peace that the changing tides cannot disturb. Every single person who has ever felt trapped by their circumstances, exhausted by their own mind, or yearned for a deeper sense of home will recognize themselves on this journey. And here is the most beautiful part. You have already taken the first step, simply by being here, willing to listen. What makes this ancient story so powerful is its profound simplicity. In a world that complicates everything, that offers 1,000 solutions to 1,000 manufactured problems, this teaching cuts through the noise and speaks directly to the part of you that already knows the truth. That quiet, wise self that senses there is more to life than the endless cycle of building and protecting and worrying. As we walk the banks of this river together over the next 3 hours, a quiet miracle will begin to unfold. You do not need to grasp every concept or memorize every word. Simply allow my voice to be like the sound of the flowing water itself. Like a gentle current, these truths will find their own way into the deep places of your being, softening what is hard, clearing what is blocked, and reminding you of a peace you had forgotten was possible. Our story is about two shores, separated by a wide and powerful river. The shore we are on now is the shore of striving. It is the world as we know it, full of beauty, yes, but also defined by constant effort, competition, and the fear of loss. It is the realm of I, me, and mine. The river is life itself, with its unpredictable currents of joy and sorrow, success and failure, birth and death. And the other shore? That is the shore of being. It is not a paradise where nothing bad ever happens. It is a state of being where you have discovered a peace so profound that you are no longer afraid of the river. It is the place of unshakable well-being. The journey across this river is the journey of awakening. And tonight, you will learn that the peace you have been seeking on the other side of the world is actually waiting for you on the other side of your own fear. The Buddha once said that his entire teaching could be summarized in one sentence: I teach only suffering and the end of suffering. By the end of our time together, you will understand this not as a grim diagnosis, but as the most hopeful promise ever made. So, close your eyes if it feels right. Listen to the gentle sound of the river in your mind, and let us begin the journey home together. Our story begins on a shore that will feel intimately familiar to you. Picture it in your mind. It is a beautiful shore, full of life and activity. The sun shines brightly, the sand is warm, and people are everywhere, all intensely busy. They are building magnificent sandcastles, intricate towers of achievement, strong walls of security. Everyone is working so hard, from dawn until dusk. They compare their castles. They worry about the rising tide. They feel a moment of pride when they add a new turret, and a pang of anxiety when a wave gets a little too close. This is the shore of striving. It is the ordinary human world. Does this not feel true to your own life? The sandcastle is your career, your reputation, your savings account, your perfectly curated social media profile. You work tirelessly to build it, to protect it, to make it more impressive than your neighbors. And yet, deep down, you know the truth. You know that the tide is always coming. The tide of change, the tide of aging, the tide of loss, the tide of impermanence. No matter how strong your walls are, no matter how clever your design, you know that one day, a wave will come that washes it all away. This is the source of our deep underlying anxiety. We are trying to find permanent security in things that are, by their very nature, temporary. It is like trying to build a house on the surface of the ocean. The project is doomed from the start, and the effort is utterly exhausting. The person in our story is one of these castle builders. They have a very fine castle. They have achieved what everyone said would bring happiness. They have the respect of the other castle builders. But one evening, as the sun is setting, casting a golden light across the water, they stop. They put down their shovel. And for the first time, they notice a sound they have never allowed themselves to hear before. It is a whisper, a faint melody, carried on the wind from the other side of the river. It is a sound of such deep peace, such effortless harmony, that it makes the frantic activity on their own shore seem suddenly absurd. This is the first noble truth in experiential form, the recognition of dukkha, or suffering. Not just the obvious suffering of pain and loss, but the subtle, pervasive suffering of living a life based on a false premise. The suffering of constantly striving to hold on to things that cannot be held. In our modern world, this moment of recognition comes in many forms. It's the feeling that hits you after a long-awaited vacation, when you realize the peace lasted only a few days and the old stress is already back. It's the emptiness that follows a major achievement at work, when you think, I did it, so why don't I feel different? It's that quiet moment late at night, when all the distractions fade, and you are left with the simple, unsettling question, is this all there is? Our culture teaches us to ignore this whisper from the other shore. It tells us to just build a bigger castle. If you're not happy, you need a better job, a newer car, a more exciting partner. We are given endless distractions, binge watching, endless scrolling, constant busyness, all designed to keep us from hearing that quiet, revolutionary sound. But that sound is the voice of your own deepest wisdom. It is the part of you that knows there is another way to live. It is the beginning of the great spiritual journey. For many people, this first stage is one of quiet desperation. They see the futility of their sandcastle, but they don't know what else to do. They feel trapped. They may feel depressed or anxious, without understanding that this feeling is not a sign that they are broken, but a sign that they are beginning to wake up. They are realizing that the problem isn't the size or shape of their sandcastle. The problem is that they are building on a foundation of sand, right next to a relentless ocean. The Buddha himself experienced this. He was a prince, living in the most magnificent sandcastle imaginable, protected from every tide. But when he saw the reality of sickness, old age, and death, he realized that no castle, no matter how grand, could offer ultimate security. That realization, that profound dissatisfaction with the temporary, is what launched him on his quest for the other shore. So, if you feel this way, if you have ever felt this way, do not despair. This feeling of being stuck, of being tired of the endless striving, is not the end of the road. It is the blessed moment when you finally stop looking at your sandcastle and lift your eyes to the far shore. It is the moment you stop asking, how can I build a better castle? And start asking the most important question of your life. How do I get across the river? The whisper you hear is not an accusation. It is an invitation. It is the first hint that freedom is not found in controlling the world around you, but in changing your relationship to it. As we stand on this familiar shore, watching the tide roll in, feel the truth of this in your own body. Feel the exhaustion of the constant effort. Acknowledge the fear that lives just beneath the surface. And then listen. Listen for that quiet melody on the wind. The promise of another shore, a different way of being. That sound is not just a fantasy. It is the truth of your own potential calling you home. And the entire journey of awakening is simply learning how to answer that call. Music. As our castle builder stands listening, the whisper from the other shore begins to grow clearer. It is no longer just a faint, unsettling sound. It is becoming a song, a calling. And with this calling, a new kind of hope begins to dawn. They start to look around, not at the other sandcastles, but for clues. Has anyone else heard this song? Has anyone ever tried to cross this great river? And this is when they begin to see things they never noticed before. Half hidden in the reeds at the edge of the water, they find the remains of an old raft, weathered and worn, but clearly built with skill and purpose. Nearby, etched into a smooth, flat rock, is a carving that looks like a map showing the currents of the river. Then, they meet an old woman sitting quietly, mending a fishing net. She doesn't have a castle at all. She seems to have very little. But when she looks up and smiles, her eyes hold a depth of peace that our seeker has never seen on this shore of striving. She speaks of the river not as an enemy, but as a friend. She talks about the other shore as if it were a real place she has visited. These are the footprints of the wise. This is the second stage of our journey, discovering the path. Once you have genuinely asked the question, how do I get across? The signs begin to appear everywhere. This is the third noble truth, the truth of the cessation of suffering. It is the radical, life-altering realization that an end to the frantic striving is actually possible. You don't have to spend your entire life building and defending sandcastles. There is another shore. For you, this stage may have arrived when you first discovered a book on meditation or mindfulness that seemed to describe your inner world with perfect clarity. It might have been a podcast like this one, where you heard ancient ideas spoken in a modern language that made you think, yes, that's it. That's what I've been feeling. It could be a conversation with a friend who has been through a great difficulty and has emerged with a quiet wisdom and resilience that you admire. These are the maps, the abandoned rafts, the wise elders on the shore. They are the evidence that you are not crazy for hearing the song from the other side. You are not the first person to feel this deep longing, and you will not be the first person to find your way home. The path appears in the most ordinary places once you start looking. You observe a tree in your backyard. It doesn't seem to be stressed or anxious. It isn't comparing its leaves to the tree next door. It simply stands, rooted in the earth, reaching for the sky, accepting the sun and the rain equally. In its silent, steady being, you see a clue about the nature of the other shore. You watch your pet cat or dog as it rests in a patch of sunlight, completely present, utterly content in the simple reality of the moment. It is not worrying about yesterday or planning for tomorrow. Its simple presence is a teaching. It is a footprint pointing the way. The key to this stage is a shift from passive dissatisfaction to active, curious seeking. You begin to gather information. You read. You listen. You experiment. You start to look for the tools and the wisdom that might help you on your own journey. This is the stage of right understanding and right intention, the first steps on the Buddhist Eightfold Path. You begin to understand the nature of your predicament on this shore, and you form the clear intention to make the journey to the other. But there is a subtle danger here. It's possible to become a collector of maps without ever starting to build your own raft. You can read every spiritual book, listen to every podcast, and become an expert on the theory of river crossing, but remain standing on the familiar shore. Intellectual understanding is a vital first step, but it is not the journey itself. The old woman on the shore does not just give our seeker a map. She hands them a piece of rope and points to a grove of sturdy bamboo. The message is clear. The time for study is over. The time for building has begun. This stage is filled with a new kind of energy. The despair of the first stage is replaced by the excitement of possibility. You have found a path. You have a map. You have proof that the other shore is real and that the journey is possible. This hope is the fuel that will sustain you through the difficult work that lies ahead. So, take a moment to reflect on your own life. Where have you seen these footprints? What books, what people, what quiet moments in nature have given you a glimpse of the other shore? Acknowledge these clues with gratitude. They are not random. They are the loving response of the universe to the sincere question of your heart. You have heard the call. You have found the map. You are no longer just a frustrated castle builder. You are now a voyager, an explorer of consciousness, standing at the edge of the great river, ready to begin the sacred work of building your raft. Our seeker now stands before a grove of strong, straight bamboo, a coil of sturdy rope in their hands. The excitement of finding the path gives way to the sober reality of the task ahead. A raft will not build itself. This is the stage of practice, of effort, of gathering the materials for your own liberation. This is where the spiritual journey moves, from a beautiful idea to a lived reality. And what are the materials for this raft that can cross the river of life? The teachings tell us they are simple, but they must be gathered with patience and dedication. The first logs for your raft are moments of mindfulness. Imagine each time you choose to pay attention to the present moment, to the feeling of your breath, to the sound of the rain, to the taste of your food, you are harvesting one strong log of bamboo. At first, your mind is a dense and tangled jungle. It's hard to even find the bamboo. Your attention is constantly pulled away by the buzzing insects of worry and the creeping vines of memory. But you persist. You sit for 5 minutes each morning, simply noticing your breath. It's difficult. Your back aches. Your mind wanders 1,000 times. But for a few seconds here and there, you are fully present. You have gathered your first log. You do it again the next day, and the next. Slowly, painstakingly, you build a small pile. This is the work. It is not glamorous. It is the simple, repetitive, and profoundly transformative act of paying attention. The second material you need is the rope of discipline, or what the teachings call right effort. This is the vine that will bind your logs together. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It is the loving commitment you make to your own freedom. It is the choice to show up for your 5-minute meditation even when you don't feel like it. It is the choice to pause before you react in anger. It is the choice to go for a walk in nature instead of scrolling on your phone. At first, the vines are weak. Your resolutions break easily. You miss a day of practice and feel like a failure. But the old woman on the shore taught you something important. You simply pick up the vine and begin again. Each time you return to your intention, the vine grows stronger. This is the struggle stage, the taming the ox from the other story. It can be frustrating. You will look at your small pile of logs and your flimsy-looking rope, and then look at the vast, powerful river, and you will think, this is impossible. This is the moment most people give up. They decide that spiritual practice is too hard, that they are not good at meditation, that the other shore is for special people, for saints and mystics, not for them. But the secret is to keep going, to gather one more log, to tie one more knot. You are not trying to build a perfect raft overnight. You are simply engaging in the process. The building of the raft is the path. The third and most important material is the sail of compassion. As you work, you will get splinters, you will get tired, you will get discouraged. Compassion is the soft cloth you use to bandage your own hands. It is the gentle voice that says, "It's okay. This is hard work. You are doing your best." Without compassion, mindfulness becomes rigid self-monitoring, and discipline becomes harsh self-criticism. Compassion is the quality of loving kindness that makes the whole journey sustainable. You learn to be as kind to yourself as you would be to a dear friend who is struggling. And a strange thing happens. As you learn to be compassionate with your own failures and frustrations, you naturally become more compassionate with others. You see the other castle builders frantically shoring up their walls against the tide, and you no longer feel judgment or superiority. You feel a deep, shared humanity. You see their fear because you know your own. This compassion becomes the sail for your raft, capable of catching a wind you cannot create yourself. The wind of grace. So the work continues, day by day, moment by moment, one breath at a time, one kind thought at a time. The pile of logs grows, the rope becomes stronger, the sail is mended and patched with love. Your life begins to change in small, almost imperceptible ways. You are a little less reactive, a little more patient. You notice moments of simple beauty you were too busy to see before. The raft is not yet finished, but you are becoming a raft builder. The identity of frustrated castle builder is starting to fall away, replaced by the quiet dignity of someone engaged in a sacred and meaningful task. If you have ever tried to start a new practice, be it meditation, yoga, journaling, or prayer, you know this stage intimately. You know the initial enthusiasm, the frustrating struggle, and the moments of wanting to quit. Here is the encouragement the teachings offer. Do not judge your progress by the size of your raft. Judge it only by your willingness to show up today and gather one more log. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The crossing of the great river begins with a single log of bamboo. You are building the vessel of your own liberation. It is the most important work you will ever do. Be patient, be kind, and keep building. The day finally comes when the raft is ready. It may not be perfect, but it is strong. It is built not of theory, but of your own lived experience of countless moments of mindfulness, bound together by the persistent rope of your discipline, and powered by the soft sail of your compassion. Now comes the moment of truth. You must leave the familiar shore. This is the stage of letting go. You drag your raft to the water's edge. You look back at the shore you have always known. You see your sandcastle, the one you spent so much of your life building. You see the other people still busy, some of them pointing at you and whispering. To them, you look like a fool. You are abandoning the known world for a foolish dream. Fear arises, a powerful primal fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, the fear of being alone. The currents of the river look strong and dangerous. The other shore seems impossibly far away, shrouded in mist. Every instinct in your body screams, stay here, it's safer, it's what you know. This is the ultimate test of faith. Not faith in a god or a doctrine, but faith in the process itself. Faith in the raft you have so patiently built. Faith in the song you heard from the other shore. With a deep breath, you push the raft into the water. Hop on, and let the current take you. This is what it feels like to truly commit to a spiritual path. You leave behind old habits, old identities, old ways of finding security. You might change your relationship with certain friends, or certain media, or certain foods, not out of judgment, but because you know they will pull you back to the old shore. As you float out, the currents of your conditioning are powerful. The river is filled with eddies of self-doubt, whirlpools of old trauma, and strong undertows of fear. You are tossed and turned. For a while, it feels like you are making no progress at all. Sometimes, it even feels like you are being pulled back to the shore you just left. This is where the sail of compassion is so crucial. You must learn to navigate the river, not fight it. Fighting the river is like fighting your own mind. It's a battle you can never win. Navigation is different. It is the art of using the currents, even the difficult ones, to move you in the direction you want to go. When a wave of sadness comes, you don't try to push it away. You allow it to be there, knowing that you are on a raft that is buoyant enough to hold it. You let the wave pass through you. When the current of anger pulls at you, you don't resist it with force. You use your paddle of mindfulness to steer yourself gently, acknowledging the anger's power without letting it capsize you. You learn to say, the current of anger. I know this one. And you make a subtle adjustment. This is the stage of right livelihood, right action, and right speech in their deepest sense. It is about living in a way that is in harmony with the laws of the river, the laws of nature. You stop trying to force life to be what you want it to be, and you learn to respond wisely to life as it is. The great Taoist sage Lao Tzu said, "The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to." On the raft, you learn to become like water. You learn flexibility, resilience, and the power of yielding. You realize that your strength is not in your rigidity, but in your ability to adapt and flow. Slowly, the familiar shore begins to recede. It becomes a thin line in the distance, and as you look ahead, the mist over the far shore begins to lift, just a little. You are truly on your way. You are no longer a resident of the shore of striving. You are a voyager on the great river of being. The fear has not vanished completely, but it is now joined by a quiet, thrilling sense of freedom. You are in the flow. There comes a point in the journey, deep in the middle of the river, where something extraordinary happens. You are far from both shores now. The shore you left is a distant memory, and the shore you are heading toward is still a subtle promise on the horizon. There is only the vast expanse of the river, the sky above, and you on your raft. In this immense quiet, a new question arises in your heart. It is a question that could not have been asked on the shore. Who is this I that is on this raft? You look at your hands, which have grown calloused from building the raft. You feel the rhythm of your breath. You notice the thoughts and feelings that drift through your mind like clouds in the sky. And then, the realization dawns, as gentle and as total as the sunrise. The one on the raft is not separate from the river. The consciousness that is aware of the journey is made of the same stuff as the journey itself. The seeker and the sought, the voyager and the river, are not two different things. This is the great insight into oneness, or what the Buddhists call anatta, no self, and sunyata, emptiness. It is not that you cease to exist, it is that you realize your existence is infinitely larger than the small, separate self you always thought you were. You are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a single drop. At this moment, your relationship with the raft changes. You look at the logs of mindfulness, the ropes of discipline, and the sail of compassion with immense gratitude. This raft has saved your life. It has carried you this far. But you also realize that the ultimate goal is not to have the best raft. The raft is a tool, a precious and necessary one, but it is not the destination. True freedom is not found in perfecting your practice, but in realizing the nature of who you are that needs no practice. This is the ox transcended stage from the other story. The tool that got you here is recognized as a part of the journey, not the end of it. This insight brings a new level of peace. The subtle striving that may have still been present, the desire to be a good meditator, the pride in your spiritual progress falls away. There is no one here to be proud. There is just the flow, just the river of being aware of itself. This is a state of profound rest, even in the midst of movement. You are no longer paddling furiously. You are simply allowing the great river to carry you home, trusting its innate wisdom. You are a wave that is realized. It is the ocean. The wave still has its unique form, its unique journey, but it is no longer afraid of crashing on the shore, because it knows its true nature is the unchanging water. Your life, viewed from the middle of the river, looks completely different. The frantic activity on the shore of striving no longer seems foolish, but poignant. You see it as the play of waves who have forgotten they are the ocean. Your heart fills with a vast, impersonal love for all of them. You have transcended the need to get somewhere because you have realized you are already everywhere. The other shore is now clearly visible. It is bathed in a soft, gentle light. And you realize, with a quiet laugh, that the light is not coming from the shore. The light is coming from you. It always was. The journey is almost complete, but the greatest discovery is yet to come. As your raft gently bumps against the sand of the other shore, you step off onto solid ground. You have arrived. But the shore is not what you expected. There are no choirs of angels, no golden palaces, no eternal bliss of doing nothing. In fact, it looks surprisingly ordinary. There are trees, rocks, and sand, just like on the shore you left. The sun is shining. Birds are singing. The air is fresh and clean. This is the great secret of enlightenment, the punchline of the cosmic joke. The other shore is not a different place. It is a different way of being in the same place. This is the stage of integration, of returning to the marketplace. You walk along this new shore, and you notice the difference is not in the world, but within you. The frantic, anxious energy of the castle builder is gone. It has been replaced by a deep, quiet stillness. You are home, not home in a place, but home in yourself. You are no longer afraid of the river. You can sit at its edge and watch the changing currents with a sense of calm amusement. You know that its waves cannot touch the deep peace you have found. You see other people on this shore. They look ordinary too. Some are weaving baskets, some are cooking food, some are simply sitting and watching the river. But they all share that same quality you saw in the old woman's eyes: a quiet contentment, a natural ease. They are not striving, they are simply being. And then, as you stand on this shore of peace, you turn and look back across the river at the shore you left. And in that moment, the final, most profound realization of the entire journey dawns upon you. You see the people frantically building their sandcastles. You see their hope and their fear. You feel the immense love for them, and you realize there are no two shores. The river does not separate two different worlds. The river connects one single whole and sacred landscape. The shore of striving and the shore of being were never apart. They are two different expressions of the same reality. The journey was not about getting from a bad place to a good place. The journey was a process of waking up to the wholeness that was always already here. At this moment, you let go of the raft. You don't need it anymore. The raft was for someone who believed they were separate from the river and needed protection. But now you know you are the river. You can walk on either shore. You can even swim in the water because it is your own nature. This is the ultimate freedom. Not freedom from life, but freedom in life. You are no longer a spiritual seeker. The search is over. You are now a being of service, but not in a heavy, burdensome way. Your service is simply to be who you are. You might find yourself walking back to the shore of striving, not to build castles, but to sit with the castle builders. You don't preach to them. You don't tell them their castles are pointless. You simply sit with them. And because you carry the peace of the other shore within you, your very presence becomes a teaching. Your calm reminds them that there is another way. Your lack of anxiety is a living example of freedom. When they are exhausted and despairing, you might hand them a piece of rope and point them toward the bamboo grove. You help them begin to build their own raft. This is the bodhisattva ideal, the one who, having crossed to the other shore, chooses to return to help all beings make the journey. Their clothes might be dusty. They might mingle in the marketplaces and taverns. They appear completely ordinary, but they are ever blissful, because they have realized that heaven is not a place you go to, but a way you live, right here, right now, on whatever shore you happen to be standing. They have discovered that the greatest gift you can offer the world is not what you do, but who you become, or rather, who you remember you have always been. As we come to the end of our journey on the river, let the silence settle around you. We have traveled from a shore of desperate striving to a shore of quiet being, only to discover they were one and the same. We have seen how the pain of building temporary sandcastles can become the catalyst for the sacred journey of building a raft. This story is your story. The map is your map. Perhaps you recognized yourself on the first shore, feeling that quiet dissatisfaction, hearing the first faint whispers from the other side. Honor that. It is the beginning of all wisdom. Perhaps you are in the stage of gathering your materials patiently, collecting your logs of mindfulness, tying them with the ropes of discipline, and patching your sail with compassion. Be patient with this work. It is the most important construction project of your life. Maybe you are on the raft now, in the middle of the river, tossed by the currents of fear and doubt. Trust your raft. Trust the process. Learn to navigate, not to fight. The river itself is carrying you home. Or perhaps you have had glimpses of the other shore, moments of profound peace and clarity that have shown you what is possible. Cherish these moments. They are the lighthouses guiding your way. Wherever you are on this journey, know this: the peace of the other shore is not something you need to create or earn. It is your original nature. It is the truth of who you are, hidden beneath the frantic activity of the mind. The journey is not about becoming someone new. It is about unbecoming everything that isn't you, so that the person you were meant to be can finally shine through. As you move from this space back into your life, carry these simple things with you. Remember the sandcastle. When you find yourself striving and anxious, ask yourself, am I trying to find permanence in the temporary? This question alone can bring a moment of freedom. Remember the raft. Each moment you choose to be present, each time you respond with kindness instead of reactivity, you are adding to your own vessel of liberation, one log, one knot at a time. And remember the two shores. When the world feels divided into good and bad, success and failure, sacred and profane, remember that it is all one seamless landscape. The divine is not just on the far shore. It is in the chaotic currents of the river and the frantic activity of the castle builders. It is in everything. The Buddha said, "You yourself must make the effort. Buddhas only point the way." This story has been a pointing. The real journey is yours. It unfolds in your own heart, in the quiet moments of your own life. Trust the song you hear on the wind. It is your own true nature calling you home. Rest now. Sweet dreams.